Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome in to Snaps here on this Thursday. Sorry we not come to you live today. Some of the predictorial staff is in transit. So we are recording today's episode, but nonetheless, we are very excited for another Thursday episode of Snaps. Remember, every single Thursday, we count down the top 5 games of the week. If you're listening to us for the first time, what's up? I'm your host, T-Bob Hebert, joined by fellow host, looking great in the Sunday red today, Mr. QB1, Aaron Murray. What's up, Aaron?
It's Sunday red and it's birthday red too. Your boy 32, 1 year closer to you, T-Bob. Yeah.
Hey,
32.
let's
Thank you.
go,
Yes. Got my fresh shave on. I'm feeling good.
Look good.
Wifey's taking me on the town tonight. Dude, she may actually pop like tonight. So
Yeah.
you went to the doctor today. And her numbers are like, the doctor's like, you could be any second now. So I'm like, okay, little birthday present could be coming out later tonight, maybe. So she's gonna take a nice long walk this afternoon, and we will see what happens. So hopefully we'll be able to at least finish the show.
Okay, so my old man, also a QB1 of the past, and his oldest daughter born on his birthday, August 19th. So there you go. Maybe you too will share a birthday with one of your children. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, so Aaron's about to have a kid. I'm about to have a kid as well in like 3 weeks. And both of our teams look like they're going to play in the SEC championship. So life is good right now for Team Snaps. I do want to remind you, download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, promo code SNAPS. Huge thank you to FanDuel. Huge thank you to the Volume Sports Network for having us here. And please, we want all these people that support us to be like, wow, y'all are doing great. So listen to the pod, and it's going well. We're excited. It's growing. But if you could, subscribe to the pod wherever you listen to them, rate it and review it. That really helps. Share it with your friends. All of that stuff helps. And we'll keep bringing you some fun college football coverage. One fun thing that I love, Aaron, are the holidays. They're right around the corner. And if you're wondering what to get someone, they don't have to be an outdoorsy type of person, but it doesn't hurt. If they have kids, if they really anybody, you want to check out the Turtlebox Bluetooth speaker. It's at turtleboxaudio.com. It is a fully waterproof outdoor Bluetooth speaker, and it is loud. I mean, it gets really loud. Again, I charged it once and have not charged it again, and I use it constantly. Like, the battery does not die. It's very easy to transport. It's got a great handle. It's also got these little hooks on the side if you wanted to like bungee cord it to like an ice chest or something. It's durable. Again, waterproof. I've taken it golfing. I put it in the yard when I'm like doing decorations, which I'm about to have to do again. Chilling with the neighbors, drinking beers in the driveway, walking around the neighborhood with the kids. Like, I am obsessed with this Turtlebox speaker. Go to turtleboxaudio.com, promo code SNAPS, and you'll get $20 off and free shipping and handling. And if you really want to splurge, if you buy 2 of these things, you can very easily, just at the touch of a button, sync them up, and you got stereo sound. So, like, if you're a tailgater, trust me when I say, like, this thing will accomplish your tailgate needs, and you don't have to invest nearly as much as if you were to buy some, like, giant sound system. turtleboxaudio.com, promo code SNAPS. All right, Aaron, anything to add on Turtlebox before we get into this?
No, go get it. It's the perfect holiday gift. We'll be blasting it all throughout the holidays as well. A good mixture of Disney and Rudolph.
Christmas.
It's gonna
Christmas
be fun. Christmas joys. A lot of Mickey going on.
Because the baby's coming right at the beginning of December, this will be one of the years where I break my rule, and I may even put up the Christmas decorations this Sunday. And
don't do it. Please don't.
In front of my house, I have to do, because what if the kid comes? I'm not putting those things up after a baby. Like, my wife wants it like Christmassy so she can drink her red wine that she's earned after 9 months and be chilling with a little newborn in her arms. I love putting up the decorations because I do the lights like Clark Griswold style, not in terms of how much, but I got to go about 20 feet up on a ladder. And it's a little terrifying up there, but it's kind of like Pacino in Two for the Money. He's like, it's the losing that lets you know you're alive. Like when you're up there, you're really living, because you're just one fall away from a snapped femur and a hospital trip that's going to ruin your life. But when it's all said and done, the pride in a job well done is undefeated. Just like, damn it, neither Tulane nor UCF is undefeated. They just smashed my excellent transition I had set up there. So we're going to talk about the top 5 games of the week. First on this list, Aaron, not a major brand game here, but one of the most interesting of the weekend nonetheless. The Tulane Green Wave, the ranked Tulane Green Wave, playing host to the ranked UCF Golden Knights. And I'll say this, Aaron, this is the first time Ross Dellinger has a really good piece on SI.com right now on this game. This is the first time that Tulane has played host to a ranked game since 1949, when number 10 Tulane lost to number 13 LSU 21-0. And as Ross kind of points out in the article, ironically, it's kind of one of the losses that started to unravel Tulane a bit. You got to see these pictures. Maybe put them in post, boys, because the stadium's packed. Like, it looks awesome. But yes, it's 1949. Finally, the Green Wave playing host to another ranked team while they are ranked. So look, it's really cool for the city, and it's really cool for a very long-suffering fan base.
Well, it was interesting to see what game day was going to pick, and they ended up going to Texas for that matchup versus TCU. You kind of understand that, but I think it would have been pretty cool if they did go to Tulane, hosting, like you alluded to, a ranked UCF team. I'm interested with the quarterback situation going on at UCF, with John Rice Plumlee a little banged up. Who do they go with? Because Keeney's a little bit more of a passer. Obviously, John Reese is a hell of a runner, hell of an athlete. We just remembering his time there at Ole Miss. So I think it's Reese. I've heard Reese. I've heard Rice.
I thought Rice. It doesn't
I
matter.
did too. I swear I did too. Then this morning I was listening to some sports radio and they were saying Reese.
I think they're screwing up. I think they were.
We'll go with our guts. We're going to go Rice. John Rice Plumlee. Yeah,
I love Rice.
So it's an interesting matchup. You got the number 1 defense in the conference versus the number 1 total offense in the country, or conference, excuse me, not the country, conference. So this is going to be, I do like Tulane at home. I think, these big games like we've seen all year, I know this isn't Athens, this isn't Knoxville, this isn't, Ohio State or wherever, but it's still home. And there is a sense of feeling good, home field advantage, get a little bit of the crowd juice going with them, and the way that defense is played and the way that Tulane has run the football as well. It's going to be a great football game. I think both teams are evenly matched. So I'll give the edge to your team there in Louisiana, see if they can keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's be clear. I have no great analysis on this Tulane game. I've not watched this Tulane team a ton. I'm trying to figure out their record against the spread, because I feel like there's been a lot of Louisiana
They've been
people.
Really good.
I was about to say, I feel like they've been covering quite a bit, because I know a lot of people have been betting them and making some money this year. But it's just a cool story. And you mentioned the home crowd. Like, that's a place that is traditionally empty, and it will be packed. Like, for the first time ever. Like, the crowd was pretty good last week or 2 weeks ago. This is going to be the biggest crowd that any of these kids has ever played in front of. So you always hope. And it's a great moment for Willie Fritz, who looked like the program was getting there, had an awful year, I want to say last year, 2 years ago, and now is having the best year that he has ever had. And you would love Fritz if you met him. He's got that old like he has chronically abused his vocal cords to where they will never recover. He's got that coach's voice, that like Marine drill sergeant voice. And then look, UCF's always interesting. It's very funny that Gus just continues to be an offensive genius and has UCF ranked, and Bo Nix and everything. And then there's Auburn. So roll wave, which is what they say, Aaron. They say roll wave, get it done against the Gus bus. And screw John Rice Plumlee. All LSU fans still hate him for rushing for like 700 yards against LSU back in 2019 when he was at Ole Miss. Now to some of the big boys. Number 4 on this list, Aaron, a game that we have talked about plenty, LSU at Arkansas. 11 a.m., 38 degrees at kickoff, 3-point spread, huh? A little stinky there. Aaron, what do you make of this game? Should LSU be worried about falling into the proverbial trap?
Well, yeah, of course they should. I mean, that was a massive win last weekend for them versus Alabama. So, like, you do think that there's going to be some sort of hangover, but I also think that that wasn't just any win last week versus Alabama. It also re-energized them in the sense of making it to Atlanta. Like you and I both know, we've played in this conference. what's your first goal? Your first goal is either to win the East or in LSU's case, win the West. And with that win versus Alabama, that now is a realistic thing that could happen if you finish the season off. They are in control of their own destiny. So I think that is something that guards against the sense of sleepwalking this week in practice or even the next 3 weeks as they get ready to possibly face Georgia in this SEC championship game. I think now they look at it as, hey, guys, we have a chance to go to Atlanta. We have a chance to win the SEC, and we have a chance to maybe screw around and make the playoffs. Like, who thought that would have been possible 3 or 4 weeks ago? So I think that was the message on Sunday and Monday in that locker room of, hey, guys, wake your ass up. Yeah, we're going on the road. Yeah, we just beat Alabama, but we are in a prime position right now to make some major noise in this conference and across the country. So I think you're going to get a team that obviously we've seen them get better and better each week this season. I think you will continue to see Jaden play at a high level, and I'll focus on that side of the football first against Arkansas's defense. Arkansas, as I've said a bajillion times, and I'll say it again in this show, is horrendous. I watched it last week versus Liberty in person. I was there with my own eyeballs in the stadium watching Liberty throw all over Arkansas's defense. They are not very good. And LSU and Jaden is throwing the ball tremendously right now, the best we've seen them all season long. They will dominate that side of the football. Flip it over to the other side, and the offensive line for Arkansas was not very good last week. And I get, like, it was just a bad week.
Which is odd though, Aaron, because they've been, like, you watch a lot of Arkansas film. The O-line's actually been really damn good this year, haven't they?
Which they have been good, which is why you're like, okay, maybe it's just 1 week, which is not really my main concern. It's more of KJ. KJ's been banged up all year, and he looks good when he's healthy, and when he's not healthy, we've seen some iffy moments. 2 interceptions last week versus Liberty. So I just don't know how healthy he is heading into this game. I think they struggle on both sides of the football. I don't know what Vegas knows that I don't know, but I think LSU wins, and I think they win pretty big in this football game.
Well, I mean, look, there is a bit of a history of LSU after Alabama games, win or loss, is sometimes having of losing focus. LSU Arkansas is a series that also in its history gets very odd. Like, Aaron, I was at LSU 07 through 11. My first year we won a natty. My last year we lost a natty. In those 5 years, the only team we had a losing record against was Arkansas. We finished 2-3 against them. So this is a series that has a lot of weirdness in it. But, big capital underline bolded, but my favorite kind. The difference is Brian Kelly. Yep. He is the outlier here. The same way that for the first time ever in the LSU-Alabama matchup against Nick Saban, you actually maybe arguably had a coaching advantage during that 2-week run-up. You are better now, and actually Edo was great at this. Coach Miles was not. Edo was really good at this, but you are now better positioned to handling success and locking back in than you ever were before, because what you have seen out of LSU is process-based. It's not outcome-based. Like Brian Kelly has talked about this ad nauseum, about this idea of, look, if we trust our process and commit to that, and the creation of habits and the constant application of those good habits, the outcome will take care of itself. What that leads to is a team that's not just riding some hot streak. They're not lucky. It's good scheme mixed with good discipline execution. So it's not fluky, right? Like, it's sustainable. And when you think about the teams that lose trap games, it's maybe teams that are poorly coached, teams that are inconsistent, and then teams that don't deal with adversity well. And I don't think you can say that at all about this Tiger team. They appear to be very well coached. If you look at the last month of play, it's been very consistent. Also on the year, it's been a consistent upward trajectory. And as far as dealing with adversity, this team, that's probably the greatest feather in their cap. They've gotten down in nearly every game, save for Alabama, and had to come back. So yeah, look, I maybe I'm guilty of just drinking the Kool-Aid too deeply, right? And admittedly, if this was a murder case, you would have to take me off the case because I'm probably too close to it. But from where I sit, LSU, and especially with a KJ Jefferson who is not healthy, which, I mean, how good is KJ Jefferson that he's the second highest rated quarterback in the SEC? He's got 17 touchdowns, 3 picks, 9 yards per attempt. He throws for 250, runs for 50 more each game. and he hasn't been healthy for much of the year. Like, the dude's awesome. But with him a little banged up and with everything I just said, like, I'm fading Vegas here. Famous last words, but I'm fading Vegas here. I think LSU takes care of business. And then if that does happen, LSU fans are treated to that ultra rare but enjoyable, completely stress-free experience. Well, they'll get to tune into Ole Miss, Alabama, knowing that if Alabama wins, hey, they're going to Atlanta, which that would be a fantastic Saturday afternoon.
That would be. I think the one thing that I think worries LSU fans, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the last time they played an 11 o'clock game versus Tennessee, they got blown out 40-13. Two
Yeah.
different football teams. I mean, like I said, but you're not at home. You're on the road in this game. Is this just a team that needs a little bit more sleep? I mean, I don't think. I think the Florida game was a little bit later, the Ole Miss game, and then obviously Alabama was prime time. Is that a cause for concern?
Well,
Legitimately, being because at the end of the day, like when you are the favorite, when you should win the football game, if you do come up a little bit sleepy in the first half and games are close, that's usually when the underdog kind
it's
of like,
true.
oh man, we actually have a chance. And then you go in the halftime as a favorite, like what the hell's going on? Why aren't we performing? Like I think LSU, if anything, like goal is if you can get off to a fast start, I think you if you can punch
You can
Arkansas in
break
the
them. They're
face, you
fragile.
break them. Yeah, they're done. But if you keep them alive, that's a team I do not want to keep alive because of KJ and his possibility of being Superman there in the second half.
Yeah, and Rocket Sanders is a beast as well.
Yeah.
SEC's leading rusher. So we'll see. May Well, let's move on because we're short on time here. But make a call, Aaron. LSU, Arkansas. Who you got?
Oh, LSU all day. I think
Okay,
LSU
okay,
wins.
yeah.
Yeah.
Next up on the list, let's go out to the Pac-12. Washington, the now ranked Washington Huskies under Caleb DeBoer, one of the best stories of this football season. Michael Penix Jr. throwing it all around. They will travel to Eugene to take on Oregon. And guess what? You could say that there's all eyes on Beauregard. Because it's Bo Nix and Oregon. Because the last few years, if you look, don't give me that face, the Ducks have made a bit of an art of winning the Pac-12 without actually going to the playoffs. I wonder if this will be different. Like, is Bo Nix really that guy that is going to lead them for the playoffs for the first time in nearly a decade? We'll get the first of our answers come this Saturday.
Oh yeah, I think they roll in this football game. The one area that concerns me and more so concerns me for the spread, which I think is right around 2 touchdowns, maybe 13.5 right now in favor of Oregon, is Oregon's passing defense. They are second to worst in the conference just before Cal, giving up about 280 yards per game through the air. And Washington is the number one passing offense in the Pac-12, right around, I think, what is it right now? I'm just pulling up the stats at the
Penix is
moment.
throwing for like 380 a game, I'm
370.
pretty
Yeah,
sure. Okay, yeah.
370 per game. So like that's a little bit concerning on the defensive side of the football. But I like Oregon. I like Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix right now on FanDuel promo code Snaps is right around a plus 2,000 Heisman odds.
Still.
And it's on my little list right now to send a picture to my great bookie to put some money on it. Possibly,
Great.
I do like
Yes,
those
perfect.
odds. I love those odds just to put a little bit of money on Bo, because like I alluded to, their next two games at home versus Washington, then at home versus Utah. Ranked opponents, big time wins, prime time. A lot of eyeballs are going to be on that game. I think Bo's going to continue to work his way into the Heisman conversation. So I think Oregon, they win this football game, mostly because of him and how special he's been this season, and then just being at home and how
Yeah.
daunting it is to play there in Eugene. You mix those together, and Oregon gets another big victory against a ranked opponent in the Pac-12.
So I think you hit the nail on the head with the Eugene factor. Washington's losses to both UCLA and Arizona State were both on the road this year. Like, they are a significantly better team when they are at home in Washington versus having to hit the road. And yeah, I've been to a game in Eugene before, and that is a premier college football stadium. It may not have 100,000 or 90,000, but it packs out, and it does hold the sound in well. Like, it gets very loud. So, I mean, in the end, Oregon should be overwhelming. Like, that much is clear. As you said, Bo Nix, literally the nation's leader in touchdown accounted for. It's just there is that Oregon factor, right? Like I'll never forget the year. I guess it was actually Jaden Daniels' freshman year at Arizona State, which at this point would have been like 18 or 19, but Oregon looked like they were going to roll to the playoff. It might have been 19 because I wanted them to make it instead of Alabama, right? All they had to do was like beat a bad Arizona State team. It was like one of the, what'd they do? They blew it to Daniels and that Arizona State team, allowing in the last minute of the game, they went like cover zero and got beat deep for no reason, and they end up not going to the playoffs. So like the only thing that concerns me is just Oregon and their kind of history of blowing it. But new era, Dan Lanning, new era. Let's see.
Well, I got a great Oregon story too about that. So this was heading into the SEC championship game, 2012, us versus Alabama, and Notre Dame was, I think, 1 in the country at the time. Oregon was 2, then Alabama and us were like 3-4. So like we needed one of them to lose. Notre Dame season was they were undefeated. They were in. Everyone knew like, hey, it's done deal. And then Oregon was going to be that team. So I think Alabama and I both had a loss. What do you know? Last game of the season, Oregon loses, which then made that SEC championship game the, essentially semifinal game going into the national championship game versus Notre Dame. So yes, I agree. Oregon just always seems to somehow screw things up later on down the season to prohibit themselves going to a national championship or from the playoffs. But I love what Dane Lanning has brought to this football team, the physicality and then obviously the playmaking skills of Bo Nix. I don't see it happening, but it can, man. Like the end of their schedule is tough. Sure. Washington, Utah, Oregon State on the road is going to be tough, and then most likely going to have to play USC or UCLA.
No, USC. You had it right the first time. You're going to play USC.
UCLA.
No,
so,
okay, dude.
And it's always tough to beat a team twice in a season, so it's going to be hard to beat the Bruins twice.
Hey, you know what Oregon needs to not do? They need to not duck it up. Okay, Oregon, let's go, baby. Number 2 on the list of top 5 games of the week, Alabama at Ole Miss. Aaron, I fired off a tweet earlier asking how many games in a row Ole Miss had won in Oxford. So I'll see what the it looks like 14. Shout out to my guy Jarrell Poe. Had some battles with him. He used to play at Ole Miss. He says 14 in a row in Oxford. Now Alabama's coming to town, and all this week y'all have made me sit here and defend Nick Saban and Alabama. I feel greasy. I hate it. But again, I feel that the rumors of Saban's death have been greatly exaggerated. Am I wrong here, Aaron? Like, does Ole Miss, do they further the cracks? Do they drive that wedge even further into the Alabama psyche? Or is this a classic Alabama stems the tide? It's like, okay, you know what? No. We're not going anywhere.
So you know what the big interesting thing that's going to happen for this football game that I'm interested to see is the outcome of the LSU versus Arkansas game before, because essentially if LSU wins the football game, it knocks Alabama out of the playoffs. So if they're watching that football game and see that, hey, or not out of the playoffs, but out of the SEC championship game, making it literally just between LSU and Ole Miss at that point, what do they feel like? Because they're going to be watching, they're going to be on their phones, they're going to see. We all know, like everyone knows, like, hey man, like I said at the beginning of the show, like goal number 1 in the SEC, can you win your side? Can you win the West? Can you win the East? And essentially for Alabama, they're going to be in uncharted territory. It's like, how many times have we seen Alabama eliminated from making it to the SEC championship game with 3 weeks left to go in the season?
No.
Yeah, and that could happen at 2:00 Central, right before kickoff versus Ole Miss. And what kind of team do we get? A motivated team that says, hey, we can't make it to Atlanta. Do we kind of just pack it in? We got some guys that are pros. They start to think about the NFL. Like, I don't know. Like it's a whole mindset thing that I'm interested to see how that unfolds based on the outcome of the game in Fayetteville. And then you look at the 2 losses Alabama's had this season versus Tennessee and versus LSU, gave up over 180 yards rushing in each of those games. And what does Ole Miss do well? Ole Miss runs the ball well. Number 1 rushing offense in this country. So if there is a way that we've seen to beat Alabama and to frustrate them on the defensive side of the football, it's to have an elite running game. And Lane Kiffin coming off a bye week is going to have their offense ready to go with Judkins in the backfield. So I think Ole Miss can make this game close. I still think Alabama wins the game, but I do think I think it does. It's a shot to Alabama's pride if LSU does win that game, which we expect them to do versus Arkansas. You may see a lethargic team there in the first half.
Huh. See, so this is interesting. I'm kind of the opinion that I'm guessing that Alabama is maybe good. Like the players are probably taking the tack this week, and maybe just because I had this experience in college where maybe everybody was talking a little too much about, what do we need to do to get the championship? What do you do this or that? You end up losing a game you should not have lost. And like the big speech, but from the captain the next time was like, look, shut the F up. Everybody stop talking about all this like talking about the future. Stop talking about, we got to worry about what's like immediately in front of our face. I think you're probably going to get an extra dialed in Alabama. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't think that makes Ole Miss's chances any worse because Alabama's been objectively struggling on the road for the last couple of years. And as you said, Ole Miss seems well suited to exploiting one of Alabama's relative weaknesses. And for Ole Miss, they have everything to play for. They may not control their own destiny, but LSU is still a team. I mean, they're only favored by 3 on Saturday. Like, if LSU loses to either A&M or Arkansas, which could absolutely happen, and Ole Miss wins out, they would go to Atlanta, Aaron, I'm pretty sure for the first time. The first time ever. Remember, the one time Ole Miss was going to make it, Arkansas had that absurd 4th and 25 where they threw it behind their head and they end up getting the first down. I mean, I don't know if PG or Aaron or somebody wants to check me if I'm right here, but I don't think Ole Miss has ever been to Atlanta for an SEC championship.
We will definitely get that clarified. I mean, listen, for Alabama, the key's simple: run the football. Gibbs, run it, run it, run it. Ole Miss has just been gashed against good rushing teams this entire year. Not saying that Alabama's a great rushing team, but Gibbs is special. We see it week in and week out. And it's not like Lane Kiffin was able to hit the portal in the last 2 weeks like he did in the offseason to bring in some more defenders at that front six, that front seven. So big stat of the game. Who ends up with the most rushing yards, in my opinion, wins the football game, because these are two defenses in big time games that have struggled to stop the run. But Alabama's just a tad bit better. Bryce Young is obviously the best player on that football field. I think he can take over the game whenever he wants. And I do agree with you a little bit. Like, you will get a ticked off Alabama football team, but I will. I don't know if I'm gonna put money on this or not, but I'm kind of leaning towards, if I do end up putting money on this, putting on an Ole Miss. I do believe the line has also come down some.
I would not. I don't know what the line.
I think it was like I think it was around 13, closer to maybe 2 touchdowns. It's down to 11.5.
I mean, I would take. Favorite. I like Ole Miss with the points there. I think Alabama probably wins, but I do like Ole Miss with the points there.
Yep, I agree.
Aaron, this was an Aflac trivia question during one of the broadcasts last Saturday. Not to brag, I got it right. There are 4 teams that have not made it to Atlanta for an SEC championship. Ole Miss is indeed one of them. Can you name the other 3? Yep.
Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Texas A&M.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you think I was going to get tricked with that one, didn't you?
That I feel like is the one that you would probably miss. Like, I think you should get this other one.
The other one is Kentucky.
Perfect. There we go. That's why he's on ESPN calling games, folks. Look at
when
that.
When did Mississippi State make an SEC championship game?
I'm sure in like 94 or something. I don't know. Right. That's
that
actually
was when I was like, Kentucky or Mississippi State. I'm like,
that's a really good question.
I don't know which one.
Let's see. We can look that up. Okay. Number 1 game of the week. Oh, they won the division in 98. It looks like Mississippi State did. Number 1 game of the week. Howdy. We got a matchup of the Horny Boys, as you got the Horny Frogs going against the Longhornies. We are on opposite sides of this divide. It's in Austin. It's TCU versus Texas. You being an idiot have now given yourself back over to Sarkisian and the Longhorns. You being so smooth-brained and short-sighted and non-remembering, whereas I am like a dwarf, okay? And we dwarves do not forget. Our memories are long and our grudges run deep. And I will never forgive Texas for sucking me in multiple times this year, only to prove me to be an idiot for believing in them once again. We have a personal bet on this game. You gave me TCU +4. I'm rolling with Mad Max Duggan and the Horned Frogs, who all they do is win, versus your pathetic Texas. You want to talk about teams that can't handle adversity? Texas can't handle adversity.
All right. So big news for TCU, which gives me a little bit more confidence that they may be able to keep Texas and that defense at bay a little bit. Quentin Johnson, their star receiver, potential top 1 or 2 round draft pick if he decides to come out. Looks like he's going to be healthy for the football game. I think that is a huge get for TCU to be able to keep, the defense balanced, to keep the defense from putting an extra defender in the box, to essentially slow down Max Duggan and then their ability to run the football for TCU. So big get for TCU. But I'll go back to Texas and when they've played their best this season, and it's been at home, and it's a different football team. And I do think if Texas wants to get to the stage of being elite, of being one of the big boys, of being like Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State, to get to that level, you got to take care of business at home. Teams have to know that, hey, man, we're going into Austin and the Longhorns don't lose in Austin. And that's not obviously the case right now, but that's where they need to get to. And I think Quinn Ewers showed me a lot last week with how he played on the road. And then obviously Bijan Robinson is Bijan Robinson. And I think Bijan obviously had a great game last week. Last year versus TCU.
I don't care about last year, Aaron. What have you done for me lately?
Last year versus TCU, Bijan ran for 216 yards, 6.2 yard average, and 2 touchdowns. So he's got their number a little bit.
He can Bijan these nuts because it's not going to help him. Okay, look, going into Austin's tough. What are these kids going to make fun of me for not having a Tesla? I'm a proud Toyota Camry owner, you son of a bitch. Okay, I got a 3-year lease on a Camry that's about to be up. I'll be upgrading that thing, so get the hell out of here. Make no mistake. This is blue collar versus privilege right here. This is a fight against all those who have gotten every break in life because of who their daddy is. Unfortunately, that is also me, right? Like literally, I'm a beneficiary of nepotism. It's how I got my start in this industry. So but guess what? That's why I am the most well-positioned to see this. It takes one to know one. I know these Texas kids. I grew up around him. I've seen him. They're the worst. TCU, on the other hand, they're having to fight for everything they've earned this year. You said it best last week, Aaron. When that first college football playoff poll came out, if TCU was Texas, they would have been 3. There would have been 4 at least. They probably would have been 3. Why? Privilege, okay? So get the hell out of here with your Longhorn privilege. I hope Texas gets smashed. I hope Mad Max squirts blood all over these dudes. Let's ride. And plus, Sonny Dykes is infinitely more likable than Steve Sarkisian. And have you even watched the TCU Hypnotoad victory videos? They're incredible. Let's go Horned Frogs, baby.
Texas, baby. Longhorns, horns up all day. I can't wait to get $50 Venmo to me Saturday night at about 11:30. Actually, it will be on our show, on our recap show Saturday night. You will get to see T-Bob Venmo me $50 for Texas +4. I do appreciate you giving me those 3 points. Listen, it's gonna be a great game. And the one thing that we know about TCU is they don't quit. They don't give up. So this is gonna be a tale of 2 halves. Texas is a team that starts off fast.
Quit and does give up.
Exactly. Like they start off fast. What does Texas do well? Texas comes out and they punch you in the face. They punch you in the mouth, and then they give it everything they got. And then the second half, they kind of just fall apart. And they did last week versus Kansas State too. Almost lost that game. I mean, they were up 31-10 and only scored 3 points in the second half. Still ended up winning the football game, but almost gave it away once again. And what do we know about TCU? They just kind of suck you in. They think that you're kicking butt. They kind of cradling. We're fragile. Poor TCU. And then bam, smack you in the face comes second half. So this is 2 polar opposite teams with how they approach each half of the game. So for Texas, man, no lead is too big there in the first half. You better throttle them, which is why I like Texas at like a -5 in the first half for this game.
Oh my God, dude. The Big 12
I do like that.
Thunderdome. 2 teams enter, 1 team leaves, and it'll be Mad Max. All right, that'll do it for today's Snaps. Thank you so much for listening. Huge shout out to Paulie Walnuts and PG for producing as Brum is off gallivanting somewhere. Sorry we can do this live. We missed you today, chat, but we will see you for a little Saturday night snaps. Also catch us on AMP on Saturday as well. So again, FanDuel Sportsbook app, promo code SNAPS, turtleboxaudio.com, promo code SNAPS. Subscribe to the pod wherever you listen to pods, rate, review. That really helps y'all. And we love you. And we'll see you Saturday for some late night snaps.